One, two, three. And I think we're live. Yeah, we are live. Hey guys, what's up? What's up, everyone? Good morning in Brazil. I think good afternoon in in Portugal, and good night in Vietnam. So we are all across the world right now in different time zones in different parts of the world. Uh, Web3 is pretty global, so that's why we are here live streaming at 9 a.m. in Brazil and different parts of the world as well. Thanks everyone for being here, for watching our podcast here in Circuito. The idea of Circuito is always hosting awesome builders, ventures, founders. They are creating the new world, not only on finance, not only on crypto, but on AI, on infrastructure, other parts of the data, even other parts of the digital and the decentralized world. And the idea is to share these stories, share the backstages and the visions coming forward in the future. So here we have João Ferreira from Picnic. If we want to present yourself, João, and tell a little bit about what is going on in Portugal right now.
Hey, I'm João. I'm building basically UX for DeFi. So we are using account abstraction and a few other things to onboard Web2 users to use DeFi directly. Basically, we allow users to go from fiat in their bank account to an on-chain swap in a few minutes. This is live both for Brazil and for Europe. And I have been traveling a bit around. I'm in Lisbon right now, working from the Safes office, which is a really close partner to us. Basically meeting people and spending some time to create connections, and it's going great so far. Wish I had spent some more time in Europe before, but yeah, that's my overview.
Nice, nice. How about you, Tony? How is things going on Floripa and Clanova?
Yeah, Felipe, it's very good. Claudio have to be he have to go to here and then the next events. But in Kilnova, I've been working as a head of product. I've been helping a lot of founders. But nowadays we are with 5 projects, and I help ideate and build the projects, the roadmap, understand the competitors, doing a lot of technical analysis, and understand the marketing and how we can build something that the VCs will see with good eyes, and how we can connect the product with a good strategy on marketing and growth and community. So yeah, it was being very good this experience.
Nice, nice. Let's introduce them. Claudio, how are you doing, Claudio? If you want to present yourself, feel free.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Claudio. I'm co-founder of Metapool. We're a liquid, multi-chain liquid staking platform. Right now, currently live on several chains, EVM and non-EVM. Ethereum mainnet, we got Aurora, we have Q Network on non-EVM, we have Near, Solana, ICP. Yeah, really excited to be here. Currently, right now in Vietnam, in the beautiful city of Hanoi. Today we had a good luncheon. I don't know how I say it in yeah, like a meetup more so than anything, just meeting the super team Vietnam Hanoi team, and yeah, we got about 20 people there talking about the current radar hackathon, and yeah, like really bullish on the region. Southeast Asia is definitely going to be on the map for the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of growth happening, a lot of builders here. And I think they submitted, the region of Vietnam submitted around 130 projects. So hopefully some of them made the cut for the finals. But anyhow, yeah, like I said, currently in Southeast Asia, and bullish on the region, to be honest. Happy to be here.
Yeah, 130, it's a pretty big number. Like if you compare in any shape or form with other regions, Vietnam itself, it's almost as big as other regions. That's impressive. That's really, really impressive. Um, I'm going back a little bit on Vietnam. So how is your experience like overall with not only Vietnam and other players in Southeast Asia? I know that you have been traveling to into Asia for a bit. How is your experience overall? How will you summarize all your traveling experience and
Yeah,
meet?
well, it's my first time in Asia, to be honest. One of the big learning experiences here is how different, um, how they consume information, how they make a decision. It's quite different from, and I'm gonna put us in a bucket, right?
Mhm,
Than us Western culture or Western influence cultures.
mhm,
Um, and for example, right, and I didn't 48 hours into landing in Korea, I immediately realized like the last 3 years of us trying to communicate and kind of create this communications channel was not optimal, right? Um, for example, and this is for many of us, it's we might be not very aware of this, but for example, in Korea, Telegram is very it's a let's say it's a communication channel that people are not do not trust, and not because of its safety or security reasons, but there was um, a big event that happened in Korea that very not very so let's say, so let's put it like this: a group of people abused the Telegram to do unlawful things, and there was, and this is correct. I stand to be corrected, but in these groups that were doing illegal stuff, it is said that 1 in 10 male Koreans was part of those groups. And yes, and like the association of Telegram, like in a broader Korean context, and if you go and tell, hey, do you have Telegram? You're kind of asking them that if they do, if they answered yes, then most likely they will be associated with that specific group of people. And that's why Telegram is not the de facto communication channel in Korea, which is the de facto communication channels for crypto. You don't know that until you're there. And I've been working with communities in Korea for the last 3 years. None of them have approached me and told me this story until I got here. And so these are things that you will never know until you get here. Another important factor, Vietnam. And this is also maybe unfunded opinion. I stand to be corrected, right? But at least right now, in the case for us, staking, um, I say that 90% or 85% of folks that are crypto related don't do staking, for example. And so out of that, I will say that 40 to 45% have stable coins in their wallet, right? And so you would think that, hey, access to US dollars is going to be something important here in Vietnam. It's not. The last 5 years, and if you go back and research a little bit, right, which to be honest, I have not, you will see that there's been a kind of like, it has, for the Vietnam as a country, has had really stable economic growth, right? So if you research a little bit, you will understand that last 5 years, more than 100 million people have been brought up out of poverty in the region. So it is a stable country. maybe not good at soccer, right? Maybe not good at sports, right? Maybe not world champions of stuff that we Westerns consume, right? But they've been doing a pretty good damn job at like promoting growth at least regional lines. And so those are things that you will not understand until you come here. It's not for the faint of heart, right? It's just it is a long travel. It will get you around 4 to 5 days, 6 days, or 7 for old folks like me to get accustomed to the time zone. And so yeah, it's just those things that you do not learn until you're here. I would advise for folks to save enough money, make the trip. You don't have to go. Yeah, Korea, it is expensive. Japan, it's expensive, right? I know you've been there, Victor, right? So there's Indonesia, there's Thailand, where DevCon is going to be happening. There's Vietnam, there's Malaysia, there's Laos, there's plenty of other countries. Yes, they're difficult to get to them. It is worth the effort, right? It is worth the effort for you to understand this region. If you are serious about growing your project and finding out what's happening over here, and try to understand that it's a whole nother world, right? And maybe and I'm trivializing this because I've heard this numerous times. Like, I'm from Tijuana. There's always been these bridges of commerce between Tijuana, specifically my city, Korea, China, and Japan. And it never crossed my mind, right? Like how important those bridges are. And I think, for example, Chile has a free trade agreement with China, right? Again, it is painful, right? It's 24-hour flight or 26 hours, right? Being stuck in a car in a sardine aluminum can, right? It's not for everybody. But anyhow, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. And definitely I would advise folks to save money, come here and experience it for yourself. Don't let just a Mexican tell you that this is the next 5 years of growth going to come from this region. Experience it for yourself and making an educated decision, right?
And let me ask you one thing that I'm interested. It's how I compare a lot of Southeast Asia with Latin America because of their backgrounds, like background of instability, background of like density population areas, like growth in population really fast in the last 100 years, colonized by every one of European countries. So the background history, it's not the same, but in different conditions, it's almost the same. Um, and how we can learn of this growth, like how we builders as builders, not as countries, because I think it involves a lot of policies and different complex stuff, but as builders, how we can learn on their perspective on growing and ecosystem, um how we'll see these things.
Um, so it's I think first and foremost, right? I think we're experiencing different. There will be different opportunities for each and every one of the regions, right? Like, for example, I see Latin America and Africa being the spearhead of growth for stablecoin adoption, right? And even stablecoin issuance as well. In a few more years, we're going to start to see stablecoin derivative assets for real, right? For the Mexican peso, for the Colombian peso as well. I do not know for the Argentinian peso. That's kind of like a meme coin, right? It's like it might go to zero anytime soon. Um, and, uh, and so I see that as a clear differentiation factor. Like, I still haven't been to Indo, right? To Indonesia. I don't know like how deep the need for a US dollar pegged stablecoin could be in that region. First, for Vietnam, I clearly see that adoption is going to take around maybe 2 years. for it to become more. And this is what I told Super Team Vietnam, right? I would like to ask the same question in 12 months and see if there's like a shift in adoption for in the case for Metapool, of course, liquid staking assets, right? Or staking. But at the end of the day, we understand that stablecoins is going to be something really, really important. So I think the challenges are quite different. The opportunities um, are there will be certain sectors or certain verticals where there will be kind of similar opportunities. I still think that there's not enough in the case of opportunities. There's still not a lot of regional research being done around blockchain technology. I think that's like a totally missed opportunity. We have great researchers in both regions, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Chile, right? In the case of El Salvador, right, they have an edge, right? Cryptocurrencies are legal tender there, right? And so, for example, I don't see that happening in Asia anytime soon. Although, for example, the current government in Vietnam is researching to or proposing a sandbox for next year. So for blockchain protocols, so that's going to be kind of like really, really well thought of, right? There have been some issues here, right, where the government has decided that like all crypto related initiatives are kind of like deemed illegal. I was a little bit concerned coming here, to be honest, right? Like going and presenting, and so we try to do, even though we always do shilling to the minimal, but just don't even mention it, right? Like staking Sol, that's it, right? Or restaking aggregator, that's it. And tread on lightly, right? Because there's been a couple of events, right? Like ETH Vietnam got canceled, right? Because of the government said, you know, I'm going to do this, right? It was going to be done here in Hanoi, or I think it was GM Vietnam, one of these big events, right? And I think at the Con event, they came in and they took speakers. Like the police came, got them, took them out of the building, and they went not to jail, but they went to like police car, and then they went over and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So there's stuff that we don't know, right? Until you're here, right? Until you research, I'm gonna go there, right? And for us Mexicans, we need a visa to come here as well. So it took me around 2 months to get it. I got it 3 weeks, like a week before coming here. I was at Island Dao in Samui, and I got my visa, and I was like, okay, I'm fucking going, right? And so I grabbed the I grabbed my ticket and I went from Samui directly to Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. And so I think there's plenty of opportunities. I believe that the most important one is there's a thriving young ecosystem here. And I told my team back in Mexico and Argentina, right? We're having this calls. I'm like, drop whatever you're doing right now. Like we were gonna focus from folks from 17 to 27-year-olds. That's it. Sorry about it. Those that we have a little bit of gray hairs, right? We're not gonna be catering to you guys or us, or we're not gonna be catering to us. Like the population is really, really young. Actually, in the meetup that we did with Super Team Vietnam, I said like, and I knew I was gonna put myself in a position, right? Okay, who here is all more than 30 years old? Just 4 persons. Who here is more than 40 years old? And just my teammate and myself, right? I'm like, oh God, this is. But this is why Vietnam is growing, right? That's the reason why India is growing, right? The overall blockchain ecosystem industry, Vietnam ranks as the number 3rd country with more crypto adoption in the world, after, of course, India and the US. So there's 16 million people here that are right now exposed to digital assets. So that's the reason we're here as well. But I believe that, again, like the big opportunity, not a lot of research being done. And the great thing here is that not a lot of research is being done anywhere, right? yes, you'll get your Stanfords and your Berkeleys and wada, right? Yes, of course, you have University of Zurich, right? The middle of everything, right? Which has the longest running blockchain center in the world, but not Mexico, nothing, right? I don't know, in Sao Paulo, maybe in maybe in Brasilia, I don't know, maybe in Rio, but not that I heard of, right? And more importantly, that no research papers have been published, right? There's a few here and there, but I think that's a missed opportunity, right? We cannot allow folks from the known world to be publishing, to be the only voice on research in blockchain technology. If growth is going to come from these regions, doesn't make any sense to publish reports from other countries, right? And not doing it where really the rubber hits the road, where massive adoption is going to happen. And so anyhow, so that's I think that those are kind of like the big opportunities.
Very good to hear everything that you said, Claudio, because when I saw a lot of product analytics, né, Google Analytics or others, I looked at many crypto users come from Vietnam in these countries. So well, a lot of traffic come from there, and even about these stricter rules, but that I didn't know about it. But it's very good to see this scenario, and yeah, crazy people doing all these things, like farming a lot of airdrops and building in privacy, né, without saying to anyone because it can be a problem. Crazy.
Yeah, I think not having regulatory quick guidelines is somewhat of a plus sometimes, but like in order for us to really onboard, and this is something that I've been telling, right? Like forget about onboarding 1 billion people. I think it's nice, right, that the Ethereum Foundation put that tagline in everybody's mind, but I think we painfully have realized that that's not going to be happening, right? Like, yeah, you can say there's like 20 million wallets wherever. Yeah, but those are wallets. Those are not persons, right? And to be honest, like, who here only has only one wallet?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I have like maybe 10, 12, right? So it's not, I think those are vanity metrics. I don't know. And to be honest, I don't know if WorldCoin is the answer as well, right? Like, so it's kind of like the okay. I don't think that's the answer to doing the onboarding more than 1 billion people by having all of their biometrics on one pseudo open source blockchain, right? So we need to find better ways, right? I think mass adoption is going to happen through stable coins. That's I think everybody has painfully realized this, even though we like to throw Tether and USDC and maybe PYUSD under the bus for XYZ reasons, right? Either freezing a feature in PYUSDC, right? USDC itself, right, has some not so friendly terms and services and conditions, right? And Tether, well, yeah, kind of obfuscated. And so, but at the end of the day, that's what people are going to be using as kind of like the first interaction with our industry. And but it takes a village to build what we're going to be building. I think interoperability between blockchains is going to be critical. I think all of this kind of like tribalism is kind of like zero sum at one point, because to be honest, when you go out there, they don't give a shit about if you are building on X blockchain. The only thing that they care is that you're solving the problem for them. Now, I think here there's a clear line on for builders from Solana ecosystem that they're taking. I believe that's I've met a lot of game developers, for example, here in Vietnam. Totally I'm not an expert either, because my expert in not in anything, just a long-term newbie and learner. But I think also GameFi is going to be big. I think that also mobile integrations are going to be critical. Like we met with a couple of wallets here in
Like
Vietnam,
Telegram,
Coin98.
like Telegram
Yeah,
mini
exactly.
apps.
Exactly. Mini apps in Telegram, right? Although I'm kind of like, again, terms and conditions, and this is something because I've come from a Web 2.0 background. I built in numerous platforms, and I know what platforms can provide a lot of growth, but also platforms can be very zero sum game sometimes, right? Just ask. Well, for those of us that have a little bit gray hairs, just ask what happened to Zynga, right? When Facebook pulled the plug on them, right? And I've seen in platforms and like the Googles and the Microsofts of the world, right? And even for example X, right, or Twitter, right? They pull the plug on their API and you're done, right? So I think those are. I would take it with just careful on building your business around the platform. The platform decides that what you build will be a native feature on the platform. You're done, right? And of course, you're going to be able to pivot somehow, somewhere. But I had experiences where I've had software with, I don't know, 300,000 users, and then get a notice, and then hey, we're sunsetting the platform, and then okay, you're stranded with like
Yeah,
300,000.
you're building in rented land. It's not yours.
It's leased, exactly, right? It's not permissionless. That's the issue, Victor. Correct? It is on a leased land.
Yeah.
And it's not like England, right? That the Queen is gonna give you a 150-year lease, right?
1,000
Or whatever.
years.
Right? Exactly, 1,000-year lease, right? Okay, well. So I think that's one of the key challenges, right? How builders select platforms where they're gonna build on top of the permissionless applications, because you could be exposed to platform rug pulls.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
And let me ask you, Claudio, a little bit about building Metapool. How everything started? Because most of the times that I talk with builders in Brazil or even in Argentina, other places, a lot of people say like, man, LATAM is lacking a spearhead, a project that is spearheading or is a protagonist in the space in the ecosystem in the region. And I see Meta pulsing kind of this leader in the region, and I really appreciate like how you guys push forward the region and how you guys are leading the way. Um, and how was everything? How Metapool came together?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. Well, we were kind of timing wise is essential, and the key challenge here is like there's no right timing, right? You cannot time the market. And actually, it's funny because this is 8/2020, so it's August 2020 22nd is when we launched Metapool 3 years ago. And so, first of all, you need to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, right? And then there needs to be this kind of yin and yang between kind of like the founding team. The case for Metapool, it was myself and Lucio. I'm the non-technical co-founder. Even though, yeah, technical wise, I've been pretty exposed to developers most of my career. But there needs to be alignment there, right? I think you will have to take risks. You will have to be risk averse. Like me being here in Asia for like 3 months, right? Like and when I told my family that, they were like a little bit flipping out on me, a little bit like, what the fuck you're doing? um, uh, And at the end of the day, one of the reasons we're here is that we're making an educated bet. Well, uneducated bet, right? We kind of knew that we had to be here. And it was, I think it was the consequence of finding like-minded individuals, people you can trust. Because you need to understand that in 2021, we were getting out of the pandemic, and we did it all through Discord and Zoom calls. And at the end of the day, it's very difficult to build this long-lasting relationship just between Zoom calls. It's just very difficult. And more importantly, gouging the work ethic, the ethics as well of another person through Zoom is very difficult. And I had my fair share of bad encounters, to be honest. And this is where I would say, do bring this ethos to heart when I say that trust but verify. Always be verifying people you meet, people who are your potential partners, your co-founders, and even your investors, right? And I think here, as a side story, so when we launched him back in 2021, one of the main reasons that I told Lucio, because I was at that time I was collaborating with the Near ecosystem. So I just side note of that. So I'm kind of like an early investor in a couple of this alternative L1s. Participated in a bunch of coin list offerings from 2019. So Blockstack, Near, Solana, ICP, Celo, Avalanche, and a couple of others, right? So that went really well. But at the end of the day, I've always been a builder. Like, that's what I like to do. I like to build products, software more so than anything. And I started kind of like had access to developers, right? And friends of mine, to be honest, and said, hey, let's participate in this hackathon, man. Let's give it a go, right? And it was an on and off. And then through the Near Protocol Discourse, when I met Lucio, I asked who's building from LATAM. And to my surprise, it was only one person. and then you told me, hey, I think Lucio, I think he's Brazilian. I'm like, oh, okay. So we started chatting in English, right? And at the end of the day, I was like, okay, we're through a lot of chat, like maybe 20 minutes. And I then painfully realized I haven't asked him the question, where are you from? It's where are you from, Argentina? And I was, no mames, right? And I'm like, immediately, like, in Spanish, and I call him up, like, hey, what's up? Hey, blah blah blah, ¿cómo estás? And that got the conversation going, right? And it was through 6 months of going back and forth between projects that Lucio was building at that time. He was building the MetaMask for Near. But there I kind of painfully realized and gave him like my unsolicited 2 cents. I've been looking at go-to-market strategies for software for more than 20 years, right? So there's certain things that you kind of don't think about it, right? And he says, no, I'm going to build this wallet. I'm like, okay, who's your target audience then? Or who's your user base? Well, stakers from Near, right? And I'm technical capable, right? So I said, okay, we're going to the Explorer, right? Okay, so how many stakers there are, right? And at that time, I think it was like 20,000, right? I'm like, Lucio, come on, my friend. Like 20,000 people. Who's going to buy them? What are they buying, right? Because the wallet's free. What are you going to get percentage of the transaction? How much? At that time, I think Near was like 85 cents or something like that. Or $1, something like that. I'm like, two, who cares, right? It was like, dude, we're not going to earn money with 20,000 people here, man. This is not a business opportunity. Thank you very much, Lucio. Like, whenever you have a better idea, just come to me, but don't. And I said to him, don't even put more time into this, man. I can, let's build an Atlassian application or a Zendesk application, and I'll show you to make money, man. If you really want to make money with software, definitely not with this. And at that time, I really had like a love-hate relationship with Google. And I was like, it was dependent on the Chrome store. I'm like, God, don't even get me started with Chrome store. Just that's a story for some other time. Google, I still don't like you, but anyhow, but I still use Gmail. So anyhow, um, and so I think it's just timing. It's important, right? And it's very difficult to grasp what's happening. I think we didn't realize what was happening back in 2021. Like we launched, we said, and then he comes with the idea about liquid staking, right? And I took the bet on it, not because of Lucio. He made a really great white paper. His design is the same design that Marinate Finance has. And at that time, it was innovative. It was a non-rebasing asset. That meant at that time, Lido was the leading liquid staking platform or the leading liquid staking architecture. The problem with that is that Beacon Chain was not going to be on mainnet until later on. So they had to create a rebased asset. For those of you that are listening right now, so rebasing asset means that I mint a token that is representing the delegation, and then I have to send extra ETH there because there's no way for the smart contract to calculate the staking rewards because they're still not live, right? So it was a rebasing asset. The design for Metapool was that it's non-rebasing. That means that the smart contract itself acts as an Oracle service because the reason it's called Meta Pool is because all the assets go into one bucket, which is the Meta Pool, and then we do the calculation based on the amount of delegated assets to that bucket, and that sends us the APY and the price of the staked asset at any given moment in time. And that was very innovative at that time. So yeah, we launched 3 weeks later, 23 million in TVL, and then got introductions through for our investors and people wanted showing money to us, right? At that time we didn't quite understand it, and so now the story behind doing the due diligence is important. Just by somebody offering you money doesn't mean that it's a good opportunity. You do have to take your time and research who you're taking money from or receiving money from, sorry. And at that time, for example, we were discussing with Three Arrows Capital to lead the round. We're discussing with Alameda Research as well. And we're discussing with Dragonfly as well. And so I'm kind of old school in that sense, and I have some good connections in San Francisco and in Menlo Park and in Sand Hill Road, and so I know a couple good friends that are LPs on some of the big funds there. So I said, hey, like, do you know these guys? I sure as hell didn't. And yes, like people came back to me with like, no, we don't know who those guys are. Like I know the guy who knows the guy, but that's not a strong referral. And the only one that came back was Dragonfly, right? Haseeb, I think he was part of one company that got funded by somebody. And so I said, okay, so and can I trust them, right? And at that time, Dragonfly was Dragonfly, right? They were all over the place and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I was not from the space. And so due diligence is important. And we dodged the bullet there, right? We didn't take money from 3AC and we didn't take money from Alameda. And so we didn't raise funding from them. And so it's just a matter of how you are doing due diligence, who you're partnering with. I think when we started, we didn't quite know how big the space was going to be. I was doing it part-time, like I had a full-time job. And then back in December 2021, I decided to leave my cushy job at Atlassian and come be 100% in crypto. And happy about it, even though I have more gray hairs now than I did back 3 years ago. And but yeah, I think it's important for people to realize that it takes a village as well, right? It's not Lucio and myself, to be honest. It's like we have 19 more people in the team, right? People have been with us since day one. And yeah, like a shout out to Daniel, Alan. They've been here from day one. Also Leandro, there's a couple of folks there. And just the team right now that is supporting us, right? You have Marcela, you have Brian, you have Tiago as well from Brazil, right? And you have of course that, and then you have very important, I think one of the key things here is that we also recruited folks from the ecosystem. I think this is where Solana has done a really excellent job at like nurturing through the super team ecosystem, and like there's like talent there. I definitely saw it here in Vietnam, right? And I'm seeing it in Super Team Brazil, Super Team Mexico as well, right? Um, and we recruited folks there. Like a shout out to Francisco, who's been with us since like being an ambassador, and then he came to work collaborate with us directly. And so there's definitely a lot of things that we need to work out and decide, but make those decisions by verifying who you are getting into. Because I've gotten some really bad experiences as well, where I don't do the verification on people, and I've gotten into like really, really shitty situations that I would not like anybody to go through. And yeah, so it's just a matter of trusting people, but again, verifying, and like-minded individuals that will be able to be in the trenches with you and your team, because it will get rough. Like it will definitely be at a point in time where you are asking yourselves why you are where you are. Why did I get into this, right? Um, and then even with the ups and downs, just try to also be mindful that nothing lasts forever, and so enjoy it while it is still fresh, and more so than more so than anything, right? Uh, like I think how you build sustainable system depends on the people that are building them. If there's zero sum games and not long term vision, then be careful out there, because yeah, there's people that are just there for to take more than to give, right? And so, and I think we kind of had enough of those through the current systems out there. And crypto brings this, right? We can build sustainable systems that put all of the value back into the ecosystem or the community, or in our case, our governance participants. And we're able to do this all remotely. It's all software, right? Code is law. Um, and so, yeah, definitely like really, really excited. But hopefully I answer your question. Sorry for the kind of long format of doing a bunch of
Claudio,
stories in between.
I love your vision about target the audience and I think here all these details. It's amazing to us to as a builder in because Metapools is a success. And but I was thinking what was your MVP concept for Metapool in the first release? What blockchain you and Lucio choose and why and how was this thinking and how long you and Lucio was building this MVP to the first launch? And how was the first team too? How many people doing the development of this first protocol release?
Yeah, so Lucio sat down with the code for around 3 months before we launched in August. No, more than that. So he got to me in 2020, December. He said, "Hey, I got the code. This is ready." And then January, I think he got like a peer review by Near Core members. We chose Near because that's where we started. It worked, to be honest. At that time, it was like the great SDK, a great tooling, right? And so it just worked. And this is why I also at any in 2021 sold most of all bags except Near, because that's where we're getting like traction and getting the thing rolling. Um, and the MVP was liquid staking. Like what you see right now when you go to metapool.app/stake. Yes, it has a hopefully a prettier UI. And actually, we started with that. We had like the old UI for more than a year, and people were complaining, like, "Oh, the UI is kind of like sucks and whatnot," right? In 2022, we kind of end of 2022, we kind of rebranded everything. So yeah, it's liquid staking. That's where we started, right? So just you go, you delegate. You meant ST at that time. We had like a liquidity swap pool so people can do the fast on stake. And then partnerships with lending and borrowing platforms, partnership with Dexis, right? And that's how we started.
So in the
Now for the
beginning,
Evolve,
was
Yeah.
only near to stake.
yeah, yes, exactly. And end of 2022, we decided to become to support EVM chains, and we launched liquid staking on Ethereum with SSB networks, and also liquid staking on Aurora, which is an EVM compatible platform running on top of Near. And then we supported L2s, Optimism, Linea. Then we launched on Q Network, and then this year we were really heavily doubling down on non-EVM with the launch of the restaking aggregator service for Solana, and then also liquid staking for ICP. And so, yeah.
Perfect. So you think that was a good strategy to start on Near on in a different blockchain and gain traction, and after that go to the others?
I was asked that question today. So going back in time, did we make the right decision? I think we did. Right now, we're the only liquid staking platform supporting all these chains, all this major four chains, which is Near, Solana, ICP, and Ethereum. I think before that, I think Stater was in a couple of them, but not right now. It is very hard work, to be honest, because you need to audit them. But we have and this is and I'll take the Pepsi challenge any time of the day. Like, we have some of the top developers for non-EVM and EVM based as well.
Amazing.
So knock on wood, we haven't had any security issues, right? We've gotten audited by Halburn, BlockSec, Block Apex as well, and so we haven't had any issues right now. But like I said, it is not for the faint of heart, right? Like, and also marketing wise, and this I need to give a shout out to Marcela and also to Brian and Francisco, who are doing an excellent job at communicating this, right? Because you're communicating Solana, you're communicating Near, you're communicating Ethereum, you're communicating ICP, right? And it gets a little bit too much sometimes, right? And then the community, right? Engagement in all of them, which is not, it's a 24/7, and then you multiply that by the different blockchains you support, and it gets sometimes a little bit too much.
And the fans came after the launch or before?
Sorry?
Defense from Dragonfly.
Oh yeah, so the funding, no, and this is something, yes, for builders out there, please don't raise money before you launch. If you want to do pre-product launch, that's fine. Maybe you had a prior exit, maybe you have VC friends or whatever, perfect. But we did, and that was the other thing that I said to Lucio. We're not gonna raise funding, we're not gonna get a grant. I don't care about paperwork, like I only care about building and launching. And so that's what we did. And so we launched with no funding, no grants, no nothing. And that allows us to have like really, really good terms when you sit down with the VC and then try to raise money from them.
You are muted.
Joao, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Was just you and Lucio on the first launch?
Yes. So for the first launch, we were Lucio, myself, and then three other devs. Well, two devs. It was Daniel. It was also Alan, who were more kind of community-wise, and then it was I forgot is another dev that I can't recall his name. He's no longer with us, so but I don't know, I can't recall. But it was just 5 people, and then a bunch of people doing like marketing or communications, and they were kind of like ambassadors and from the community. But yeah, it was like a 5-people team.
Nice. Lots of respect for bootstrapping. That is
well, yes, but it's not like, again, right? Like you, and this is something that I tell sometimes the team, right? Like the only problem of coming to Metapool is that both of the founders are a little bit kind of like masochists, right? Like we really go through the grind, right, and not complain about it, and that has gotten ourselves in a little bit of like awkward situations, right? Because and then like I go in an all hands meeting and say, hey guys, like select your holidays, be respectful, right? And then we go and do the opposite. We grab no holidays. We're 24/7, right? And then, but I need to. I always say, please, we should not be the ones that make an example, right? Just take your time, touch grass, be with family, right? And we love building products. That's what we do, right? And we've had our fair share of failures as well, right? So we launched a launch pad based on liquid staking asset that went quite really well, but then bear market hit that obliterated that product. We launched a bonding bonds. We launched a bonds contract as well. That also got obliterated during the bear market. But we then like you at the end of the day, like inspiration needs to grab you while you're working. You just need to be open to being wrong, being open to being corrected, and that will the universe will bring that knowledge to you, right? And I think that's something that happened to us back in Singapore, right? So our next product we're going to be launching an over collateralized stablecoin. So we will be launching lending and borrowing soon. Because we understood, like, yes, the use case for the markets, the regions that we wanna help, it is on having stablecoin access. So that's something that is up and coming.
Claudio, was great to meet you. Really appreciate. I'll have to run. Sorry about that. Have another call just booked, but hope to catch up in DevCon. I'll be going to Asia for the first time. It was great to hear your experience there. Very curious to see that firsthand, and it was a pleasure to connect.
Yeah, well, just bring a little bit of time so you get accustomed to the time zone. Anyhow, glad to see you as well. Let's connect and hope to see you there in Bangkok.
Sounds great. Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye bye.
You are muted. Listo. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Was
Sorry.
a pleasure, Claudio.
Yes. Always a pleasure. Let's do this again. I think there's a lot of stories that we need to be telling, and there's definitely lots of learnings that we would like to share. People ask us that we should do this like more often. But again, right, like we love building products, and sometimes that gets the best of us. But let's try to find some more time. Definitely love to support builders in LATAM, in what we're calling frontier markets, Southeast Asia, Africa. Metapool has a grants program as well. So if you go to metapool.app/grants, you can see that. For those that would like to get involved with governance, so another big thing that we're pushing for Q1 2025 is we will be launching our governance to be supported in the Solana ecosystem through a partnership with Realms as well. So that's up and coming. And yeah, like I said, really excited about just engaging the Solana ecosystem in countries that are at the border of massive crypto adoption, which in this case is Vietnam. But definitely next time going to be in Thailand. So thank you very much for your time, Victor. Antonio, it's always a pleasure. Hope to see you in March over there in Floripa. Hope they can make the trip.
Thank you.
And so definitely lots of things happening in Brazil. Excited for you guys. And again, kudos for the work you've done with Super Team Brazil as well. Great job there. And well, see you until next time. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe.
See you.
Cheers.